Well, dear Greta, thank you very much. It's an enormous pleasure to invite you to my Instagram.
Why do you think it's so important that young people are engaged in this fight against the climate crisis? Why young people?
If we don't reverse this trend, if you are not able to achieve carbon neutrality in 2050 and to limit the growth of temperature to 1.5 degrees in the end of the century, young people, when they have my age, will live in the hell of a planet. That's not what we want. And unfortunately, I don't see yet the present adults of my age, namely when they have political responsibilities, I don't see them with a sense of urgency that the climate crisis needs. Because very tough decisions need to be taken. I mean, we need to stop subsidies to fossil fuels. We need to stop the construction of coal power plants. We need to make sure that we put a tax on carbon instead of taxing people in their salaries. So those tough decisions need to be taken. I think they are for the good of everybody, but political leaders are still slow. So I trust young people to push them, to push their parents, to push their families, and to push the societies to make sure that things move in the right direction. And you have been doing a lot. So can you tell us what you are planning for your next steps?
Right now my plans are just to continue like this and to every Friday I am going to school strike for the climate outside the Swedish Parliament, like I am doing now, like I have done for the past 40 weeks, and until Sweden is in line with the Paris Agreement, and to just continue organizing and mobilizing, especially young people, but also older people, to try to create awareness for the climate crisis and to make people really put pressure on people in power. You
are Swedish.
Yes, I am Swedish.
I'm told that the heat waves have been terrible in Sweden last year. Is it so?
Yes, last summer it was really hot.
Really hot.
Really hot, and there was a lot of wildfires and droughts, and it was not that good.
Because what you are saying is very important, because sometimes people think it's just a matter for the islands of the Pacific. No, you have forests in Austria that are being put into question. You have tropical diseases that are moving north. You have people dying in heat waves. I mean, pollution is destroying lots of lives in cities. So, I mean, it's not only for the remote islands of the Pacific. Now it's the planet as a whole that is under threat. And so, even in Sweden, a lot needs to be done.
Yes.
I'm told you are coming to New York sailing.
I am planning on doing that if I get an invitation to...
Of course you'll get the invitation, that's not the problem. But can you come sailing? That would be a wonderful lesson.
I hope so, yeah.
Because everybody is putting such a huge carbon footprint that we need people able to change their lives also, to change their habits. Yeah. Not, for instance, to use plastics and throw them away, and not to do the kind of heavy activities that create a lot of emissions. Yeah. So it's not only political decisions, it's each one of us.
Yeah. And what would you say is the most important thing a young person can do today who wants to stop the climate crisis? If you could do one thing, what would it be?
One thing, I mean, if every young person could convince their families that action is needed now, including the families of those that take decisions in the countries that contribute more to emissions, I think we would win this war.
Yeah, because that's how I started. I started to influence my parents, and I was, I think, really annoying. I just kept telling them about what their actions, what their habits were causing, and how much emissions they were emitting, and they just, I think, after a while they started listening to what I was actually saying, and then one thing led to another. So your parents is a great start to convince them about what is happening.
But I've witnessed that with many of my friends when I meet them with their families. I mean, in the past, usually we were the adults teaching the children, and now, in relation to climate change, we see lots of children teaching their parents how they should behave, and that is very important if we want to rescue the planet.
Yes, everyone is needed, but especially young people, since we are the ones who are going to live with these consequences. And also, young people have enormous influence on their parents. I think if young people would become really passionate about this and to really convince their parents, then I would think we would solve this just like that.
We can change the world.
Yeah.
Well, I usually say I have 3 granddaughters. The eldest is 10 years old. And I mean, as Secretary-General of the United Nations, I have many battles, but as a grandfather, the battle of my life is climate action.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having been in my Instagram, and all the best in everything you are doing.
Thank you for having me here, and you too. Good luck. And
see you in New York.